Welcome to another episode of Touring the AFC South. I'm your host, Mike Patton. Of course, this month, the month of March, is Women's History Month, and I am inviting on all Black women to come on, tell their stories, and also just to show, definitely appreciation as well. And my next guest is someone that is definitely very, very proficient in all the information that she remembers and puts out there, and it's definitely very informative. If you're not following her, we're going to give you that information a little later. But I want to introduce everyone to Arabia. What's going on?
Hi, Mike. How are you? I'm great. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes. Thank you again for coming on. And, just want to kind of get into your background, kind of going from young Arabia to now. We're going to get into that more. But, of course, first, to open up the shows for the month of March, we're doing the Black Girl Magic Moment. And for this episode, we're going to talk about Ava DuVernay. Now, keep in mind, Ava DuVernay is 51 years old. So, she doesn't look like it at all. But, of course, just keep that in mind while you're listening to me talk. Now, of course, her first film was Saturday Night Life with Melissa D'Souza. It was a short film. She spent $6,000 to make her own film. It's kind of loosely based off of her life. It's a short film, 12 minutes. So that was her first kind of film she's done. But, of course, since then, she's done Selma. She did the Netflix documentary 13th. She did Disney film A Wrinkle in Time. So kind of variations of different things that she has done. And, at one point here, she was the first African-American woman to direct a film with $100 million budget. So that's something that a lot of people don't know or may not know, but I want to kind of enlighten them on. But, of course, she didn't stop there with film. She did TV as well. She Queen Sugar, for those that, watch the OWN network. That was a very, very excellent series. I definitely loved watching that. And, of course, some people watched it for a certain particular gentleman named Ralph Angel on the show. But we'll go to the next stuff. But, of course, When They See Us was on Netflix. I definitely watched that entire series. And that was, wow. That was. And then, of course, Colin in Black and White, based off Colin Kaepernick as well. So she did all these things. In 2017, she also was a person that was included on the Time 100 list of most influential people in the world. In the world, not just the United States, the world, which is very, very big. Now, remember I told you at the beginning to remember that she's currently 51 years old. I'm not just trying to broadcast this because, she doesn't look like she's 51 years old or just put her age out there. No, I did that for a particular reason. Because she did not pick up a camera until she was 32 years old. Wow. Yes, she did not pick up a camera until she was 32 years old. That means to me that you're never too old or there's not a particular age on your dreams or anything like that. And Ava DuVernay is a perfect example of that right there. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Arabia?
I think that's a great point. Dreams don't start and end when you're younger. Too many times I think we do face big decisions when we're young, from college and deciding what major we want, which will lead to the career for the rest of our lives. I love the fact that she pursued her dreams in her early 30s. I think that's great. Good for her. And I'm also excited to see what else she has coming down the road. I know she's not done yet. She's already done this so far. So good for her. I think that's great.
Yeah, definitely. She definitely is an inspiration for a lot of people, whether it be men, women, or whoever. She's definitely an inspiration. But I was, kind of going off of that, someone else that is an inspiration with the way you're able to process and put out information is you.
Thank you.
Listening to the videos and listening to just the information that you're able to just spit out, it's just like bam, 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 bam. And I'm like, okay, wow, that is impressive, but we're going to get into that. But I want to kind of get into kind of the origins of you. Where exactly did you grow up?
I'm born and raised in DC. I kind of been all over the world, really, but home base has always been DC. From pre-K until 12th grade, I've pretty much always gone to school in DC. And in DC, I'm from a neighborhood called Brookland. It's near Catholic University, Trinity area. So that's where I call home.
Okay. All right. And what was it like growing up there?
It was incredible. Extremely diverse neighborhood. It's different now, but we had racial diversity, all kinds of Black, white, Asian, Hispanic. We had sexual orientation diversity. The couple across the street were two men. There was religious diversity. There were nuns from Catholic University who lived two doors down. Next to them were college students from Trinity University. Socioeconomic differences. I mean, it was an extremely diverse community. It was a lot of fun. It was very safe. I have warm, amazing memories from my childhood, from growing up in DC, a very eclectic city in general. But my specific neighborhood also very much so a microcosm of DC at the time. So it was great. I have great memories from DC growing up.
Yeah, it sounds like the kind of place there where everybody knows your name. Now I'm not saying that because of Cheers, but it sounds like a place where everyone knows your name and it's safe to walk outside, and it just seems like a neighborhood where a lot of people get along and get together, which get along, get together, do activities together, things like that, which is somewhat what a lot of people strive for, is a neighborhood where people can get along despite their differences.
Yeah, it was very much like that. And then it also helped because my grandma was like the matriarch of the community. So everyone knew Miss Jackson, my grandma. So, we were the very popular house, full of kids, full of activity all the time, every day. And definitely had that close knit neighborhood feel.
Okay, so of course, with all the different people that you saw, the different experiences that you've had in terms of like just seeing all these different people, or different just different people in your neighborhood, different religions, ethnicities, all those different things. What did you really want to kind of be growing up? What was your first kind of inclination? Like, okay, cool, I see that here. I want to be that.
It's funny because I didn't have a chance to think about my own wants and dreams for a long time. My mom always pushed education and being a doctor on me. She always told me that she wanted me to be a neurosurgeon. When I went to school, I wanted to study communications because I wanted to be on the news. I wanted to be like a news anchor. I wanted to be like somewhere like in broadcast journalism. But I told my mom, my freshman year, I think I'm going to major in communication so I can do this. She's like, no, there are too many communication majors. You need to major in biology because, I want you to be a doctor. So I kind of pursued that, didn't work out. Pursued economics. It was cool. I liked it. But I think the first thing I ever truly wanted to be was like a news anchor. I wanted to be on TV reporting the news. So, and that wasn't until my freshman year of college. So before then, it was kind of just the ideas that my mom put into me instead of just fostering what I wanted for my own.
So I got to ask, what news anchor do you remember the most growing up that kind of said like, yeah, I want to be that?
It is such a shame that I cannot remember these ladies' names because their faces and their voices and their entire careers are so iconic. I know their faces. I don't know their names. I have to go back and do a way better job at recollecting the name. But there are two specific ones who I would see every morning. And I was just like, wow, they were other Black women. My mom actually went to school with one of them, elementary school, but those two in particular, I was like, I love what they do. They just always seem so put together and graceful and deliver the news in a very passionate, thorough, sophisticated way. And it kind of inspired me. I really liked it.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, definitely. I guess I missed the communications train. Obviously, I don't do that for the basic living, but of course, I do that more now. Sometimes I do think about that. I do have a marketing degree, but I can say I probably have never really used it outside of for an actual job I do day to day. No, I probably have not used it. So yeah, definitely I can understand the communications, the pull to that. I actually thought about one point in time in college actually going to the radio station that was at my college, and actually trying to do that, but I never really mustered the courage to actually do so, which at some point I really wish I would have. But hey, you live and you learn, and things like that happen. But yeah, it's kind of interesting just seeing the neighborhood, the kind of the vibe going on, and things like that. That in terms of your neighborhood growing up, and DC, because you always hear of DC and Chocolate City, and I always wonder what that era of DC was about. Do your parents or anyone talk about that?
Absolutely. I mean, I even remember there are pockets of neighborhoods that have been made maybe more black than others. I just happened to live when I grew up in a very diverse neighborhood, and my mom did too. My mom grew up in Adams Morgan, which again is a very diverse neighborhood back then, but the city altogether, definitely way more black people. Now it's more gentrified. They're pushing the black people out into PG County and some of the surrounding areas, and people are moving out altogether. So the demographic for sure has changed racially, also socioeconomically. Everything is way more expensive, rent, mortgage, just day-to-day life. um, so back then it was just more of a culture. You could literally in the summertime, even the spring, cars are going down the street, windows down, blasting go-go. Some of the stores have the doors open, blasting go-go. Just the culture in general was just way more rich and organic and long-standing. And they're trying to hold on to it now, but it's kind of a struggle between the implants who are moving here and the residents who are trying to hold on to that culture. So um, yeah, it's interesting seeing the shift, and I wish people would have been able to experience that same DC that I know and love, but that DC unfortunately is slowly fading away.
Oh, it's sad to hear. It's sad to hear. I definitely enjoyed my time when I did come to DC. But of course, I would love to spend more time there. But of course, we do have to. In terms of spending time, I do have to spend time with these commercial breaks. We do got bills to pay here on Touring the AFC South. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk a little bit of Commanders with you when we come back on Touring the AFC South with Arabia.
EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash are two of the best beard grooming products for men worldwide. They help promote growth, keep your beard moisturized and soft, and enhance your overall upkeep of your facial hair. And with the new promo code MPAFC10, you can get 10% off of these products. Just go to www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. Again, that's www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. And again, the promo code MPAFC10. Again, MPAFC10, where you can get 10% off any products except for beard boxes. So treat your beard better today by going to get this the EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash.
Yeah, fellas, you gotta take care of your beards, fellas. You do. You can't be right here, having a patchy beard, man. So,
Absolutely not. Shout out to EBO Beard Butter. Shout out to young Ed God, Ed, the president, CEO, entrepreneur of EBO Beard Butter. I have bought EBO Beard Butter for years now for my friends, my family, and it is an amazing product. So shout out to Ed for sure. A great product.
Yeah, I definitely can say I sense a change in my beard since using it. So definitely some good stuff. But of course, some more good stuff is talking about. I guess some good stuff would be talking about your Commanders. I'm sorry to put the scowl on your face, but we do have to talk about the Commanders, and there is some optimism and some optimism coming around now. You do have new management. You have Adam Peters brought over from the San Francisco 49ers, so you are bringing someone over from good stock to run the organization. So, I got to ask, first though, going back, when did you actually become a fan of this team?
I became a fan of the team since probably I could start looking with my. I mean, I've been a fan of the team since I was probably like 3 or 4. It's generational. I've always been a Redskins turned Washington football turned Commanders fan. My family has always watched football, so 95% of my family is what Commanders fans. The other 4% probably Dallas fans, and then the other 1% are like one-offs.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, interesting. So you have the one else, but I do hear a lot of Dallas Cowboy. There are a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans actually in DC, which I kind of was kind of puzzled by that, but then I heard the stories behind it, and I definitely understand why. But so what can you say are some of the best moments of being a fan of the Washington Redskins /football team /Commanders?
So first of all, the last Super Bowl was the year that I was born. So as far as like greatness, I pretty much missed that. So the times that I personally have experienced, there was a huge rally around the team around 2012 when we saw a young rookie come on the scene, young rookie quarterback who we were excited to see, was performing very well through the regular season, and then he got injured. And then he was encouraged to play through that injury and got injured even worse and kind of offset his career. So when RG3 came, it was definitely a big rally around the Redskins at the time. And since then, we've kind of just been rallying around the struggle. I mean, it hasn't been pretty. It's been ugly, but we are loyal. Some of us have been kind of like, I'm gonna jump ship, but we ain't going nowhere. The ones who do threaten to become a fan of other teams, we're not going anywhere. So the good moments a lot of times are just rallying with our friends, with our family, with other Commanders fans, whether it's tailgating before a game or having watch parties at your house or seeing somebody else up at Target with the Daryl Green or any type of jersey on. So it's just been community, really, because not too much product has been on the field. It's community.
Now, I know you probably have plenty stories to pick from, but what are some of the worst moments of supporting this team or being a fan of this team?
You
Now, I know
know,
one of them. I know one of them has to be the stadium in terms of the many videos of the stadium kind of coming apart a little bit.
yeah, I mean, I've seen the videos too. Like we've seen the videos of like the plumbing coming out and spilling on fans. I've personally seen the seats coming apart in the stadium. But I personally don't have these awful experiences with FedEx Field. I mean, that's just me personally. I can't speak to anybody else's experience. I've been to MetLife. I've been to Gillette. I've been to other stadiums, and yeah, they are nicer, but I don't go to FedEx Field and have an awful experience. So that I wouldn't say that that's one of the worst experiences for me. Um, for me, some of the worst experiences is just having to deal with other people talking trash about my team, and there's not too much I can say back. I mean, Eagles, Cowboys, Giant. Oh my gosh, the Giants are the worst because they have our number. Like I could say the Giants suck, but the Giants historically have our number. They find a way to beat us in the regular season. If they gonna get 2 wins, it's probably gonna be both against us. So it's just been like the trash talk. I can't say too much about other teams, or even the fan experience of like fans of this team not really being offering grace to some of our players, staff, and coaches. Um, but in general, I have a positive experience, I guess.
Okay. All right. So I do have to ask you, and I know you've thought about this. Have you had thoughts on the draft yet? Now, of course, the Redskins. Oh, I did it again. The
Okay.
Commanders are, of course, slated to pick a quarterback, but of course, they could draft or trade that pick too and get more picks in the draft. Are you thinking they're going to stick to it and get a quarterback, or are you thinking they're going to try on and then you might see Marcus Mariota playing quarterback?
Okay, so first of all, this is the longest off season of my life. I promise you, every single day is draft, 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 draft. I promise you, I get a million questions every day about what I think the Commanders are going to do in the draft. And I get it. It's a great question. And it makes sense why that conversation is being had. So it's not coming out of nowhere. It's a popular topic. It's a hot button topic. Um, so I saw Adam Peters say recently that the Commanders are going to acquire 2 more quarterbacks, whether it's through the draft or trading or whatever. So he said one way or another, the Commanders are getting 2 more quarterbacks. And what that means for Jake Fromm and for Marcus Mariota, we will see. I'm pretty sure Marcus Mariota will be QB2 in some capacity. Fromm, I don't know whether he'll stay on the practice squad or he's going somewhere else. I don't know. But I certainly anticipate us getting a quarterback with that number 2 overall pick. I don't think we're going to trade back that first round pick. I don't think we're going to do anything crazy. I think we're getting a quarterback at number 2. Um, so that's what I expect to see.
Okay, and the quick question I have for you, of course, there have been many quarterbacks mentioned with the second quarterback picked in this draft, assuming that Caleb Williams does go number 1 overall, which that's pretty safe assumption. Um, There's been Jaden Daniels. There's been Drake May. And then there's this talk of a particular gentleman that plays quarterback for the Maize and Blue, that be Mr. J.J. McCarthy. So out of all three of these quarterbacks, honestly, I don't see J.J. McCarthy being the second quarterback taken in this draft. However, there's so much buzz about him. I just threw him in there. So, in your opinion, do you think that they really don't pick Jaden Daniels and they go with Drake May or J.J. McCarthy? Or are you just like, I don't know what's going on? They're playing too close to the vest. I don't know.
J.J. McCarthy at number 2 is crazy. Let's just put that out there. Like, J.J. McCarthy is not. So now we're looking at either Drake May or Jaden Daniels. To be fair, just as a preface, of course, we don't know how any of these players are going to translate to the league. It's going to be something that you'll have to see from the number 1 all overall pick to Mr. Irrelevant at the very bottom. You have to see how that player translates to the league. So with that being said, Jaden Daniels and Drake May are 2 different types of quarterbacks. Drake May is that prototypical classic pocket presence quarterback who will kind of get you most of his strengths in the pocket, whereas Jaden Daniels is more mobile. He presents a dual threat with his legs and with his arm. So it all depends on what Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury want to do with that offense. Whatever fits that scheme, I think is what they should go for, because sometimes you do see right player, wrong coach. Sometimes you see just the mesh not happening. We saw with Jalen Hurts. He came in, and when Nick Sirianni was calling plays, it was kind of like not working, and they were talking about getting another quarterback, and Philly fans were really upset. But then when Shane Steichen comes in, Shane Steichen starts calling plays. Now things are clicking, things are rolling for Philly, and things are really going well. So a lot of times it doesn't have to necessarily do with the talent itself, more so how it meshes with that scheme. So whoever they pick, I hope that it meshes well with the scheme. Of course, there is a possibility that you do get a quality quarterback. You see the coaching isn't really doing well, so you might want to substitute your coaching out later on down the line to get the right scheme for the right quarterback. There are different pathways. There's different, there's more than one way to skin the cat, as they say. But I'm a sucker for a mobile quarterback. I'm sorry. I am. I love the way that position is evolving. I love the way that, that type of mobile quarterback can present different challenges for a defense, different challenges for a defensive coordinator. So I do like the Jaden Daniels move. However, if Drake May is going to work out in the league and he translates well and he helps our organization out, he becomes that guy. How could I be mad at that? I just want to go with whoever is going to be our long-term franchise guy. Think about how many quarterbacks the Commanders have gone through over the last 10 years even. Like, we can't stick to a guy. So whoever it is, I'm not super picky. I'm not going to be disappointed if we get one person or another if it ends up working out.
Well, I will tell you about the quarterback situation. The Cleveland Browns said, "Hold my beer," for that one. But but as far as the quarterback situation, I totally understand wanting to have someone settled at that position. So you're like, okay, cool, we got that. We just need to work around everything else.
Yeah, and then speaking of that too, like, it's like, are you putting the cart before the horse with not settling your O-line before you get your quarterback? But we have so many picks. We still have so much money in cap space. I think we're able to address both efficiently. I think we can have a solid O-line through the draft or through trades, and then also get a quarterback. So I don't want to put one before the other and we get another rookie hurt.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to me watching just Dan Quinn part 2 in terms of being a head coach, because we saw this story in Atlanta and we saw how that ended, and I'm wondering if he's learned some things or not. But we're gonna kind of leave you alone about the Commanders just a little bit, because I know we kind of gave you a lot of ups and downs in terms of talking about them. But we're going to talk about your content creation and kind of the birth of that. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. Got to pay these bills. When we come back, we'll talk about that and more on Touring the AFC South.
A shift. A shift is something that happens and changes the dynamics. And that's what happened when Garrett Logistics was born. After 10 years as a sales pro in the logistics world of sporting goods, John Garrett decided to pivot to the world of freight and start a brokerage. So you're saying to yourself, Why trust Garrett Logistics? Well, Garrett Logistics helps shippers improve overall workflow, along with increased on-time pickup and delivery percentages. Last-minute loads, multi-drop pickups, and more are part of the services with Garrett Logistics. They're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., all times Central Standard Time. So give them a ring at 615-400-8484. That's 615-400-8484, or you can email them at john@garrettlogistics.co or visit their website at garrettlogistics.co. Garrett Logistics, where the motto is, it's not just freight to us, it's your business.
All right, and we are back on touring the AFC South. And before we left off, I wanted to ask Arabia about content creation. Now, for those that aren't aware, you have not watched Arabia's videos, you're definitely going to come away very, very enlightened and educated every single time. I mean, she's, in the words of Dylon, spitting hot fire. She's spitting hot fire. So, so when you're welcome. So when did you kind of when did it kind of pique your mind to start kind of trying to get into content creation? The things that, creating videos and kind of trying to educate people when it comes to the NFL.
I would say not until late last year, like kind of a few months ago, around October. People were always telling me, you should put this out online. You should put this out. You should post this. Because I was just talking about football to whoever would listen, whether it's my family, my friends. My son plays football, so I would talk to the other dads about football. If I see someone in the grocery store with a Titans or a Browns logo, I start talking about football. So I was just always talking about football in my day-to-day. And so finally, some of these people who I would talk to regularly are like, you should post this online. It's interesting. It's a different perspective. You're a woman, so you don't see it all the time. You see it pretty regularly. I mean, women in sports is fairly common now. But they were like, yeah, you should post it and see what happens. And I'm like, I'm not a content creator. Like, I'm not, I don't know anything about that. I'm just talking ball. So finally, I was like, okay, let's just see what happens if I, record a video and post it. And I just kept doing it, and people took well to it.
Okay. Yeah. So kind of how did you decide on what kind of platform or how you were going to kind of, put together some of your film? Because I do notice the one with the tinfoil hat, that one was interesting. That one was funny. Then you've got the one where you're kind of, going back and forth with your, I believe one back and forth with yourself. And then another with like an anonymous person. And I was like, wow, I'm like, how do you kind of decide the treatment for the things that you're going to do? Or they just kind of just hit you off the top of your head?
Yeah, they could come at me at any moment. Like, I could be doing something, cleaning at home, or I could be at work or whatever. And if an idea hits me, I put it in my notes app. So my notes app on my phone is very long. I have a long list of things that I want to get to, things I want to talk about, skits that I want to do. So I have a notes app full of ideas. And when I can get to it, because there's a balance between staying current with NFL news and updates. I mean, when it was the combine, you got to kind of stay up to date with the combine. And then right now it's kind of like draft and different rules changing in the NFL. So you got to kind of stay abreast with what's new and happening in the NFL, trades that might be happening, but also balance that with some of the skit ideas that might happen that keep things fun and light for my followers. And so when I get to it, I try to keep that balance and keep that schedule and check things off my notes list. But it just comes to me, and I try to work it out.
Gotcha. So, I definitely, they're definitely very, very interesting skits. But the biggest thing that I notice is all the information that you put out, and that you do it without missing a beat. So how do you kind of retain and put out all that information and just make it look so effortlessly on camera?
So it's studying. It really is. Like, if I'm going to do this, and if this is something that I want to pursue passionately, I want to do it in a way that is responsible for myself and for those who are consuming my information. The same way that I would study economics if I were an economist, or that I would study anatomy if I were a doctor. If this is my craft, I need to study it. So before I put anything on film, I study it. If I'm talking about the combine, I'm going to research different players online from credible sources. I also, thankfully, have a lot of people who I can refer to for help. So there are 2 NFL scouts that I can ask for information if we're talking about evaluating talent. And I'll be like, hey, I have this idea for a video. Can I talk to you about kind of what I'm thinking about? They'll give me their professional advice as NFL scouts, and I get to take that information and apply it to my videos. I know a few people who play in the NFL. So it's like, well, if you're playing against this formation, if this personnel group, or what, tell me about your perspective with this or that, then they are able to tell me their perspective. I know a couple of coaches in the NFL as well, where I'm like, how do you plan for X, Y, and Z? They're able to help me. So it's about studying, it's about building a network and using those people to help really inform you and educate you on your craft, and then I can take that and package it well for my followers.
Okay, all right, yeah, definitely. You can definitely tell that you're definitely doing your homework, asking questions, and definitely putting in the time and effort, and it just shows with the kind of how flawless things kind of go together. I'm pretty sure behind the scenes, probably not as flawless as we see, but definitely in front of the camera and when all you put out, definitely comes across very smooth and easy and effortless in terms of everything.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Like you said, not always as smooth as it comes out, but another idea that I have on the list is a blooper reel. So probably a couple months from now, once the draft dies down and we're kind of sort of in a dead zone, which I can't really see. There's really no off season in the NFL. I don't know what they're talking about, because it's like combine, then it's draft, then it's OTAs, and it's training camp. Like, what off season? But at some point, I'm going to put out a blooper reel of some of my videos, so you'll see. It gets a little dicey.
I hear you there. I understand. Well, speaking of dicey, you have some dicey propositions coming up in this next part of the show. We have a game. 5 questions, 2 answers, and 1 choice. Are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
Okay, we got Old Bay seasoning or Mambo sauce. Which one you taking on your food?
They're so different. I have to choose one. Let me just give my speech, and then I'll give you one. So there's for 2 different things. One's wet, one's dry. Pause. The Mambo sauce is for, like, you can put it on your chicken, like you. But the Old Bay, you can mix and match that. You can get freaky with the Old Bay. You can put some Old Bay in your Alfredo and make it a little Old Bay seasoned Alfredo, seafood Alfredo thing. You could put Old Bay on a whole bunch of different things. Mambo sauce is not just for chicken, but for the most part, you just putting it on chicken. So if I had to choose, I'll say Mambo sauce, because it's way more of a DC regional thing, where Old Bay is kind of like DC, Maryland, maybe a bit of Nova, Northern Virginia. So I'll go with Mambo sauce. Done the right way. Not the capital Mambo sauce sold at the grocery store. I'm talking about real carry-out Mambo sauce.
Okay, all right. So I hope you're paying attention, folks. The real Mambo sauce, not the fake ones. Of course. Which one do you enjoy more, the city or nature?
Nature, for sure. I'm an introvert. I enjoy solitude. I recharge by being by myself. The city is hustle, it's bustle. There are benefits to it, but I'll take nature.
Okay, all right. Got 1 concert to go to. I'm going to give you 2 of the big 3, or the potential big 3. You got Drake or J. Cole. Which concert are you going to?
Oh, that's easy. J. Cole, for sure. But also, I don't like concerts. Just putting that out there. I'm not a concert person. Like I said, I'm an introvert, so a crowd, and I got to stand 20 minutes just to get in line to go to the bathroom, and then another 20 minutes to get a bottle of water, and it's like this person and that person. I'll only go to a concert if I'm going to, like, be set apart. I'm sorry. I don't care. I don't.
All right. Well, I just got educated. Okay. Which place would you rather visit? The National Museum of African American Music and Culture or the African American Civil War Museum? Both up there in DC.
Dang. I would say, maybe Civil War, because I would want to see how they treat the juxtaposition between the way that Black people were treated in the country at that time and the way that Black soldiers were fighting for this country that wasn't fighting for them. So I would just want to see how they would treat it, the angles that they would take. Yeah, I would probably be more interested to see how they would treat that exhibit.
Okay. All right. And let's see. Last one. You got the Nationals or you got the Orioles? Which baseball team are you cheering for?
Oh my, Mike, these questions, you're like hitting me in my soul. The Nationals. I would have to
The
say the
Nationals.
Nationals. I mean, like for a while we didn't have them, so a lot of us did default to the Orioles. So I have a soft spot in my heart for the Orioles. They were our home team for a long time, but when they came back, how could I not choose the home team? I'll go Nationals.
Okay. All right. Well, you're off the hot seat. 5 questions, 2 answers, and 1 choice is over. And we have reached the end of the show. I want to thank you for coming on. If you can, tell everyone they can find you on social media and any things that you have working on.
So you can find me on Instagram at all32NFL. Also on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter, all32NFL. And coming up, I just have more videos on the draft. I'm working on actually going to the draft, so you will get live coverage from that and some video footage from that. I'll be working 24/7, 365. There really is no off season with All 32. So stay tuned for informative videos. Stay tuned for fun, lighthearted skits, stories about trades and any other important rules and regulation changes. So that's me. Follow me. Also, thank you so much, Mike. I've done podcasts before and since I was on with you last time, and this one for sure is my favorite. It's always so fun. You are so professional behind the scenes and in front of the camera. 100% my favorite place to be. I will go out of my way to come here every single time. You obviously love what you do. So thank you so much for sharing your passion with us. It's really, really amazing. Thank you so much for having me again.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words. I greatly appreciate it. I do definitely try to keep it professional, keep it fun for the viewers, and also to create an experience that people will love and love to be on and love to see. But of course, for those that don't know me, I am Mike Patton. I am the host of Touring the AFC South. Of course, you can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Mike Patton 82. That's MikePatton 82. Word to Prince. Got to show love to one of the greatest musicians of all time. Of course, you can find me on Instagram and Threads at that's THA, not THE, _general_AP. And of course, Touring the AFC South. You can find it on all listening platforms, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, you name it, we are there. And you can also find Touring the AFC South on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. I want to thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Touring the AFC South. We're out. Peace.